Alright guys, I'm back in, well, I want to say QQ Speed Mobile, but I'm not even on the game yet. I'm just looking back at my videos that I just subtitled. So in this video I'm gonna talk about QQ Speed's lore right now. Like recently I've done this translation where is Munich betraying everyone? Munich, the Alpha Racing God, literally betrayed everyone. Is that what's going on? So there was some questions I've been wondering in this current law right now. Predict the future? An AI with consciousness. And what does that have to do with miracle? That's my main question. And speaking of lore, well, I understand most people don't play for the lore. If there's lore also, people just skip through, right? Even in GSD, even in QQ. Most videos I see, no one talks about the lore anyway. Right? I understand. But I'll just summarize quickly, okay, especially the ones in GSD, these lore chapters 1 to 5 over here. I could just speed through quickly because they're already in GSD. I don't have to explain much. Okay, unlike the lore that's shown in GSD, which is only 5, right, and it stays 5 forever. Until now there's no update on new story, so I don't think they will even update the story ever since that was like 2.5 year anniversary story. Until now already 7, no new story, right, for GSD. So most people don't know what the story is about because GSD doesn't even continue, but QQ still continues. So first story, it's basically I didn't even finish my own, but this is the first story where we start the game, right? We were introduced, we join Citrus team, blah blah blah, we meet everyone in here, right? Whatever. Second story, Lost Manuscript, a bit of a story on Charlie, but not much. Citrus had an uncle called Drax, Charlie's partner or something, and we met him as a robot. Dr. X also included. So here Alpha was like a bad place or whatever, right? But none of the 4 depots were even introduced yet here, so the lore wasn't really much yet. And then the first story where you have Mira as in Polaris Mira or Zing or Mirror, whatever you call it, because it's just different names if you translate it. Yeah, we have the Q Speed story, the first ever Q Speed festival story. We travel with Citrus and Mira, and then we got some backstory on Charlie, a little bit on the last part, which just explains that Charlie has taught Mira on racing and stuff, but no update on that ever since. It's like at the end of the story, Mira just forgot about Charlie, but then there was more continuation a little bit, and then we introduced to Label, Caesar and Reno, also the same way, the storytelling, but there was like Q Speed, something to do with Q Speed, and say why does it just has Q Speed, blah blah blah. Space time was introduced, like traveling through space time like this, and ever since that we have the QS stories, right? There are 5 of them, or 6 of them, right? 6 of them. Citrus went to Alpha to save Byron. That was the first one. Second one was we saw Mira with already have 2 personalities, something to do with to get Polaris Racing got already. Reno story, this is a bit more on Byron and the father thing in the past. Caesar and Claudica, we have a bit of story on the 2 of them during the kingdoms stuff. And Munich, okay, this was important because I need to talk about Munich in this video anyway. Munich meets a robot, and that robot actually has Charlie's consciousness. This is like a clone of Charlie. This is a bit confusing. In this story, and also in the Caesar story actually, there are these masked people, like they are mystery men. We just call it as mystery men. They are like enemy behind the scenes. No one knows who these mystery men are. And also introducing the Infinity Project, which explain all here lah. And finally, Mira meets Charlie in this story, but Charlie doesn't remember Mira at all. Not doesn't remember, like this is the first time Charlie meets Mira. So like, how is that possible? Is there some twist? Is the Charlie meeting Mira in the past a fake or what? So that's another mystery there. So something happened here which is not explained also. And that was the QS story lah, okay? And then we go to the Mecha Warfare story where the EXA was introduced. Raizo was also introduced in this story, which Raizo we already saw since the start of the game actually, when the Raizo chases Citrus. That was already introduced, but we never seen him until the Mecha Warfare story. And this is where like a crisis started, but for Polaris it was avoided because Mira had the EXA, which can fight through whatever Riser was doing. And that was the story of all in the GSD version. Okay, GSD version has all that, but that was where it stopped. And then there's no more new story ever since. Okay, but QQ has one more, the City and the Heat story, which I haven't finished myself. Yeah, it's like quite a long dialogue here. This is actually chapter 4 is the last one, and you get clues on what Citrus is trying to look for. The fourth one I had to get Lawrence for the cutscene, the CG for the fourth one because I haven't done it myself. Maybe I don't know. We'll see if I can find time to play the fourth one because that's the only one I haven't finished. That is all the past stories. This is all counted the past stories, right? This is where the new story comes in, where the story suddenly became peak. There's also voice act. There's also a new way of storytelling. At first it was just a new map story, but it introduced something new and introduced Eden Paradise. This is where we have a new enemy, but this enemy was just a past, and it shows a story about Mira and Yue in the past, where they were experimented by Eden. They were orphans and were experimented by Eden. They managed to escape. Mira managed to escape. Yue was took a sacrifice to let Mira escape, and Mira thought she lost Yue, and Yue was already. But during this time, this is where Mira awakened her second personality, and then we know that second personality is just Mira, like impersonating how Yue would act. Her strong personality, she thinks is like it's just Yue. She's being Yue. She's not a strong girl, but Yue looks like the strong one. That's why she has two personalities. That's literally the story. Okay, but then when they continued this story, and this is not a new map. This was when I first reacted. I was like, whoa, what is this new story they trying to make? This was peak. This was actually peak when they introduced this. The Mira versus US story. Starting from here, I think I can explain here lah, but I think most people did see the videos already, and GSD also introduced the Mira versus UA arc, but no story, just the season, right? So let me summarize this, not so, do not make this so long. A mystery person, it didn't show her face, named Chien, and claims she's from Eden, wants to challenge Mira for the Polaris Racing God rank. Mira had a memory flashback of that part with Yue in the past. Eden, remember that. Mira, when finally meets this Chien girl, Chien really challenge her, like really sees like you're not worthy of a racing god, and then whatever I don't know lah. This is a long time story, but Mira knows that she's from Eden if Yue is still alive, and say yeah, Yue is alive, Yue is with us, and then say she will promise that she will defeat Chien and promise to save Yue. But when the actual competition starts, she reveals herself that she is Yue. So Chien is Yue actually. And Mira suddenly lost her confidence, realizing that why is Yue working with Eden? And then suddenly Mira lost her other self, because her other self is like her supposed to be like how Yue would be like, but now she's battling Yue, so she suddenly lost her confidence. And during this versus, Yue is like winning. Anyway, the main thing here is we get to see what Polaris has some power here, like compared to the 4D pods. Why Polaris is so powerful? They have this polar illusion domain, and this polar illusion is a map in the game as well. But this polar illusion can take some fragment of emotion and projects it to the domain where you can see the past or something. So it's like, this is important because you can somehow see a past that someone has experienced or something, so you can see how what did happen or whatever. That is important. This is actually an important part. This polar illusion thing is very important thing. Until the last part, Mira breaks free on her past or whatever. She got her confidence back, and she finally beats Yue in the finals. Yue flees from Polaris. Mira was trying to follow, but there was Muyang and Glenda and all. I didn't include, but there's something to do with US emotion fragments. They have that data, that emotion fragment thing. Muyang suggests instead of trying to chase US, she already gone so far already. Why not we use the emotion fragments and see what US past is, and then we can see what actually happened. That's when we got important law on Yue. So that's where we skip into the Yue animation. this is what actually happened in US past, but in the story we don't really see this exactly, right? They show not so much clear. It's just like they're somewhere in an experiment lab and the US being experimented. We see how UA grows, how much she endures, and blah blah blah. But this is in the UA animation is what actually happened lah. So in the domain is different. In what you are experiencing, it's almost the same, but we don't see it lah. We don't see it clearly what's actually going on, because the domain is just trying to see the past, but it's not exactly what is actually happening, because the people in there can interact with the past somehow. But if you change too much, the illusion collapses or something like that. Fast forward, when we see everything that Yue has done, it seems when Yue escaped, she got some help from Caesar, and seems there's a deal she made with Caesar. And this is important because this skips to the Caesar blazing fire, the Liu Ho's ceremony arc thing, and that's the next story lah. And okay, so now we're going to the Caesar arc, but before that, yeah, there's also a Caesar's past animation. So the Caesar's past tells a lot on Prince Villiers, Claudica, and Caesar and all. And yeah, see in here you don't really see that the animation stuff. It just shows like this. So we don't really see what's actually happening because we are in the polar illusion domain, so it's not really exactly what it looks like. Yeah, finishing the Mira Yue arc, we enter this, but this one is in the main story, but it's not so important. Like, it's a filler, but also main story kind of. This one is Citrus and Charlie. There's some time travel involved a bit. They are building a car that has powers of time space included, so Citrus can actually interact with Charlie, but in different timelines. That's the story of Messenger of Time, or should we call it Chrono Envoy. That's literally it lah. And then we have Ollie's story. Ollie's story is just literally her story lah. Okay, basically. I'm not gonna explain about it. I myself didn't play it the second time on my WeChat account here. Fast forward that, we go to the Troy story. Now this Troy story is quite long also. It didn't look interesting when it started. We introduced to Theo, a random guy. I thought it's not so important, but yeah, it's just a side thing, but we'll meet him again. Citrus got a letter from Claudica. She gets to visit this ceremony thing, and that's where I met Theo. Thing involved here, a little Charlie involved also, but not. It's like in the past Charlie did something similar. That's what Citrus did, blah blah blah. That's it lah. And then the main part of the story here, where Caesar is trying to challenge Prince Villiers, who has been making his life miserable in the past, right? He wants to challenge Prince Villiers. He needs to get that proof so that he can take Villiers down. That he has some connection with Eden, and because he's working with Yue right now, Yue is helping out, so he can take Eden down as well. At the same time, he has a plan, well, using Citrus, because Citrus is not part of this kingdom thing, so she's like a outside power that Villiers will not expect at all, something like that, and use her in the story. And to convince Citrus to help out, he'll give information about Charlie. That's the main reason. So a lot happened here. In the duel itself, Caesar was losing, but Caesar has actually a backup plan. He's just waiting for the right time. It looks like Villiers is winning, but Caesar actually has a plan to come back, and the plan is involving letting Citrus getting in trouble by Eden tracking her, but that will get Citrus in trouble, right? Claudica somehow knows this. Claudica wants to stop and save Citrus. Because Claudica is involved, coming in, Caesar knows that Claudica is involved. Caesar asks Yue to stop the plan because he doesn't want Claudica to get involved. So this is where Caesar is about to lose his plan. His plan is not working or something because Claudica is interfering. But why Claudica is interfering? Because someone told and Claudica overheard it. And that was actually all Prince Villiers' plan all along. Yeah, there's like some chess involved here between the two, trying to win against each other. There's actually another story here where Caesar creates the harlot and whatever. There's a story that is not in here, okay? That's a limited story that's not included here. But that was just his past after he left the castle thing. Back to the main story again. Eden was chasing Caesar, and this is where Caesar did a risky move. He faked his death. It looks like Prince Villiers will win by default because Caesar's gone already, but it made the public see like, did Villiers did all this? Did Villiers play dirty or something? Now he's like a suspect. And now Citrus has to do an investigation to somehow link, to find out if he can make Villiers suspect that he had some connection with Eden. That was the plan. Somehow there are some help, like Claudica is actually helping behind the scenes, and Caesar tries to find the proof before revealing himself that he's alive, and Villiers will lose in the end. Before Villiers gets arrested or something at the end, Eden managed to save him, and that's when we see the outro at the end. Somehow from this I translated it again and realized the dialogue that I did last time wasn't so accurate, but now it makes more sense. But it gives me more questions now, what happened last time, especially when Rizzo shows up again and this dialogue became even clearer than before. It seems it's not Rizzo wants to talk, it's the old man thinks who need help. Who is this old man? And after I did the translation on Alpha, there's no way that is Munich. I feel like it might be someone else. Who else is old? I mean, Munich is kind of old, but is it him? I think Villiers looks older. And then we got some more Mira and Yue story again, where Mira and Yue fights against Eden, and they team up together, not just Yue trying to save Mira every time in behind the scenes, blah blah blah. They actually work together, and that's the introduction of Luna Shadow also lah. But here's also another important thing. When we reach some Eden base, I forgot what's it called in the GSD map. It's Eden something, but it's not base. I think it's Eden. Yeah, it's a word, Eden something. I forgot. But it seems they have this dark Q-speed energy. This is where dark Q-speed energy was introduced. There was like a similar Q-speed energy, but it's cancelling out the normal Q-speed energy, and it's like a new crystal they made somehow. Snake on it, that shows it's their creation or something. And because the map has this form of a snake, right? This snake look like a monster we see on the map, on this Eden map also. Makes me question, like, where else did we see a snake? Anyway, their icon looks like a snake because Eden somehow is representing a snake, and their power also have like a snake form. That also brings me to the miracle story where we see a snake, right? So like, something connecting there, right? Okay, that's all for the main story that's available to replay, but there's actually more. They didn't add it in. There was a Reno story, right, with Byron and Reno and all, but they didn't include it. Already 1 year, but it's not here. So I think y'all remember this one, the long distance festival season. Actually, that guy besides Ollie, that is Theo. Literally, the guy Citrus saved in the Troy story before the Caesar part. So Byron keeps reminded of something that in the past that is like a trauma for him, of when he lost his father in a rift, which was told more in the story. And we got introduced to a new character, Viper, and also another guy with the glasses. I don't know what's his name already, I forgot. But it reveals that both of them are actually from Eden. I forgot the story a lot because I didn't translate in the video. I translated in live stream. So I kind of forgot most of the story there. But I remember up to this point. Maybe I should do a translation on that again for the second, third, and fourth to get the story much clearer, because I did it live, so I only understood it once. But I translated up to this point. Oh yeah, I also forgot, but there was a limited story. This is a limited story because there's a Phantom Star test run, right? There was a story on the Sequence Center. This was, I thought, okay, introduce a new character, Modis, and there's a story here, but the story is just for the test run, right? The test run of Phantom Star. And then that was it. I didn't think much of it. I thought it was like, oh yeah, fixing the Sequence Center, okay. There was an error in the Sequence Center, that was it. I didn't think much of it, but then I thought that was all. That was not so important story. I thought it was just a filler. No, it was actually important. when this story came out again second time in the new map, the Heart Abyss map. Speaking of Heart Abyss, Alwak and Alsvi was shown in that map and the car tracing light, but we never see them in the main story at all. That's also question why are they here, but we never seen them in the story. And also talk about Munich as well. Speaking of Munich, that's another question I was asking myself. Where is Munich in all this? In all these stories, in the sequence center and everything? He's missing for some reason. And the missing thing was brought up before the Reno story actually. So looking back here, I really want to play back the story, but it's not released. The Reno story. They introduced a meeting of the 4 racing gods, and Munich was missing, right? They mentioned, why are you busy not taking care of the failure of the sequence center? This was hinting, right? And Munich say focus on your instead of your rumors, right? That was sus. That was one part of sus line there. And this meeting was about Eden, because Eden has attacked Troy, and already mentioned on Polaris as well. Polaris and Troy were invaded. Okay, this is where Troy, Caesar explained that Eden is involved in this. So they were invaded, yeah. They research attack related to Q-Speed. And we see someone Raizo. Raizo has a rank in there somehow. So Raizo is in this Eden thing. That's the discussion. Munich said something just now, like a new research idea. Okay, that's all he said. But Eden is still a mystery. Make sure that all 4 of us work together to fight this enemy, and don't take advantage of by Eden. But what did Munich do? Right now, is Eden taking advantage of Munich somehow right now? That's the question. That was all that we saw. Okay, now I want to go through the alpha story that is not even shown much, but this is what I've been translating the past few days, starting with the alpha story, because if Miracle has something to do with the sequence center, I need to know the full context of the sequence center arc. So starting with the Phantom Star introduction story, Munich sends Citrus some kind of code. Citrus doesn't know what this code is about, so she went to the Alpha center, Alpha lab. We get introduced to Modis and Hengjia, or Ganga. I don't know what's the actual name. Pronunciation in Chinese is Hengjia. It translates, sometimes it's Ganga, sometimes it's Hengjia. I just want to call it Hengjia lah. Just call him Hengjia. Okay. This guy is Hengjia. He's like the inspection team of Alpha here. So in this story, Modis says some error in the sequence center when Citrus came here. That's the start. There's a malfunction in the sequence center. The sequence center is like a brain of Alpha, so it controls all the AI in Alpha, all the robots AI in Alpha. So if the sequence center is malfunction, all the robots are malfunction, except for Modis Truth number 1 bot, which is somehow working because Modis did something to make it not get affected by the malfunction, because she found the answer why there was why the malfunction happened. She's telling that my guess is the error is here, but Hengjia is like, no, we cannot just change just by intuition. We have to follow the calculations that the racing god has reviewed in the data that everyone has. But say Munich can make mistakes too. It's not just anyone. And Hengjia says, yeah, racing gods can make mistakes. So are you always the right one? Who are we gonna trust? The racing god or just one researcher, Modis, who always thinks of intuition, like she thinks this is right. Rather choose the facts, that the data that has been multiple researchers, or just Modis' intuition that this might be the answer. But yeah, Modis has to clear that there's some error in. She knows where the error is, but it's just guesswork. But she has confirmation. She wouldn't just say it just by intuition. So that was the argument basically. Anyway, Citrus meets this Hengjia thing and explain lah. He has this code, and okay, understand. Maybe Munich sent the code to the wrong person. It's supposed to be maybe to Hengjia or someone in Alpha. Now that's also a suspect. Why did Munich send it to Citrus? Is it just a careless mistake on sending to the wrong person? That was one sus thing. Modis is just a researcher. She's not a high rank, not a high ranking yet lah. She's just a researcher, one researcher compared to everyone else. The thing about Modis is she can calculate quickly and she can guess what's the error. For the other team, feels like Modis is just guessing, thinking, oh, the error is just nothing much. Yeah, it's just your inferences. Even with the small stuff, it's still okay. It's not big. It's not a big deal. This is during the inspection lah. There's like multiple notes, like 1, 2, 3, 4. Modis said the 5th note something wrong, and they're experimenting 1, 2, and 3. I think during the 3, someone think that okay, the 9th note got something wrong. But once they go to the 4th one, the whole sequence center exploded. Like one boom. And when this boom happened, there was like black smoke, and everyone in the maintenance team were in darkness. This darkness was speaking to them, like it's like consuming them, and yeah, it's like negative voices basically. When Modis woke up and sees this black thing, they found out this was an information overload. This is where it was important. This ball lightning slithered like venomous snake. This black mist, this shrouded black mist, terrifying, slithered like venomous snakes. What else slithered like venomous snakes? Flashback to the Eden base thing. And the sequence center, the maintenance team members were found unconscious in a black fog. So there's this black fog. It looks like it's just a information error that caused this thing. But this slithered like venomous snake thing sounds familiar, like it's dark Q speed, but they didn't mention this is dark Q speed or anything. So now the only way to fix it is to restart the sequence center again. When we restart, we have to activate the nodes again lah. And the only way to activate it, you need someone to actually drive into and fix it. So Modis will do it. She activates the nodes one by one, but still Modis has this thought that the 5th note is something wrong. They're still activating the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, but once they reach the 5th note, Modis stopped, went a different way. Thought that the 5th note is actually not this one, it's another one. So because there's some kind of change every time when you activate. So this is where she has to do real-time calculations to guess, to find out, not say guess, but calculate exactly where's the 5th, 6th, 7th and all. And she activates the sequence center. Hangjia was surprised because she's not following the plan, but she is actually doing it. She's actually fixing the problem. So she activated all the other nodes, and then realizing the data was an error. There's actually an error. It's not the 5th node is the error, it's that the nodes are different every time. It's not what Munich wrote down. In the end, yeah, the sequence center is back. Modis fixed it. So everyone apologized to Modis too, that everyone doubted her and all. So this is where Modis somehow got promoted to Dr. Modis from just a researcher. I think this is where it was. I think I also missed some story. There's also another Modis story I didn't translate. I think that's where she got the title Dr. Modis. But now there's a question at the end. So the error that caused the explosion, seems there's negligence involved, right? But when did this information error began? It seems that information was approved by Munich. This is where it gets sus again. It seems there's a login record that information was accessed after Munich approved it. But okay, even data that Munich approved also got some error. That's not good. If even the racing got as approval and the maintenance performed the repairs, followed this data that is wrong, which activates that error, that explosion happened. So if Modis actually followed the plan on how you should activate it, the whole sequence center would be destroyed. And Modis did not follow the actual plan and changed it, right? She followed her intuition and the sequence center actually activated and didn't get destroyed. So this was the question: did someone actually deliberately leave false information to destroy this whole sequence center? And who did this without Munich knowing? There's no way Munich would allow anyone to try to destroy the sequence center. That was sus. So Munich has to return and explain lah. Why is this? Did he explain this? That was a sus thing, right? Skip forward to the new map. So this is sequence center arc 2. Munich disappeared again. Why is it when there's some big event on Alpha and Munich disappears? This Munich not being around is sus, right? The first time also the sequence center, and now going sequence center again, he's gone again. But this time it was something even bigger. Like Modis already suspect that maybe there's some other forces or something. Why is he not around at this time? Okay, so here Modis gives an access card that she can access Alpha stuff, and with this card she can get information about Charlie. That's what Citrus wants, to get more info on Charlie. And then Modis brought Citrus to the sequence center, and now it looks different because this is what it looks like from the outside. Last time it was inside the sequence center trying to fix the stuff there, but what it looks outside was much different. It says that Munich built this to try and predict the future. This is important. It's not the real future, but it's some futures that like what will happen if it's calculated futures, not the actual futures. This is important for the miracle story. So before the test drive, Citrus bumped into a suspicious researcher here, and this researcher, I did not see who this guy was until I look at the chibi form. That is Raizo, literally Raizo. What the hell? Like, I thought, oh yeah, he is a sus guy, but I didn't know who he was until I saw the chibi. But he bumped into Citrus and made a swap on the access card. The access card that Citrus has. I thought, oh, this guy took Citrus's access card. No, he swapped it because he gave an access card that's even more stronger access than what Citrus got. Later revealed that after the race, Citrus is seeing a lot of stuff that is weird, and this weird stuff is some kind of deduction, like a future you see and that was because it was Munich's access card. And like, why is there Munich's access card here? They didn't question much. They thought, oh, if we have Munich access card, we can actually see what Munich is keeping from us. That's probably what Munich saw in the future of the sequence from the sequence center. So this was sad. Modis thought Citrus bumped into Klein because he mentioned a blue scarf and all. So it might be Klein. So that's the guess lah. Maybe she bumped into Klein and dropped Munich's access card. That was the thought lah. So now Modis wants to actually see what Munich's been hiding, but what Citrus saw made them question. And Citrus was actually getting dizzy, and there's some voices telling her stuff. So Modis brought her to the heart abyss, where it can eliminate the negative thoughts that has been in Citrus's mind, and also project it lah to see what is this thought that is the negative thoughts stuff. So this is where Heart Abyss was introduced, what it can do, and also back to the RV Alsbach video. At the same time, Hengjia found records that Munich has been reading about AI self-awareness through negative feedback. This was a bit questionable. Like, AI like the robots, yes, but trying to form self-awareness, like it has a conscious, autonomous consciousness, like it has a life on its own, and not just a AI, not just an AI robot. This is important because this will be for Miracle later. Munich is trying to create life, actual life from AI to actual life. Yeah, he created a life, but then destroyed it with it by himself. So something that probably Munich understand that everyone doesn't understand. And second, Munich found some kind of technology or energy that is unknown to us and transcends the Q-speed theory. This is just Modis's two deductions or so. And now thinking about it, yeah, it will be true somehow later on. Like Alpha So now we try to see what is actually Munich thinking, all these thoughts that Citrus is having, that she keeps hearing. And then Modis thinks, yeah, this is actually Munich's card, Munich's access card. But now it's sus, because why is the card dropped and why is it given to Citrus? So Modis has been wondering lah, who is this messenger if it's not Klein? So we need to meet Klein and find out lah. So he asks Henja to contact Klein and then mentions acting racing god. So yeah, Modis is kind of the acting racing god right now since Munich is not around. And she's flexing on that title. So when finally Citrus meets Klein, realize this is not the same person even though he's wearing the same outfit. Yeah, the face is different. But Klein already understood the problem. So he has a CCTV outside and to see who was that person. And that's when they found out, yes, this is that person that bumped into Citrus. Henja realized, isn't that Raizo? And he bowed in front of the camera. He literally tipped his head and bowed to us. Literally, it's like provoking them all. Thought, has Munich actually collude with Eden? Like he actually teamed up with Eden or something, or made a deal with Eden somehow. Henja says, "That's why you always think the racing god is doing the wrong thing, or like thinking the worst about what Munich has been doing." Henja thinks he's just being kidnapped or something, or maybe he's doing this to send a message or something. That's his guess. But every time Modi thinks of something is somehow correct, because what do you mean save Munich? Was the noise that Citrus heard? She activated the deduction with the access card and then her mind. So like, yeah, Modis has a point. Klein says Munich published a paper recently. Why this paper is something, is a direct message to Modis actually, because Munich says only Modis has the ability to deal with the crisis. And again, the AI awakened its own consciousness through negative feedback. This was inhuman, yeah, definitely. Like you're bad mouthing the AI until it has its own consciousness. This is how AI takes over. Literally, that's what people say. You're giving them bad feedback, they will have its own consciousness take over. That's literally what people have been saying about AI, right? So they all four of them see what actually Munich did. Munich ridicules, slander, whatever on the AI until the AI feels pain, and this pain makes it feel conscious. So this AI 1765, feeling human, like a human, feels pain, saying, "Who are you?" Father calls Munich father, asks to stop. It's like a human. The experiment was a success, and Munich just destroys the experiment. And before the AI gets terminated, that AI was in pain. That felt human. That's so human. That looked so traumatic to actually see. That was like a life form, not just an AI. So now that Munich sends Modis a voicemail saying, "You have seen the results. This is an undeniable truth. The experiment is a success." So now Munich is so tired and he's gonna take a vacation. Modis is now in charge of all Alpha Industries, and he has a friend to deliver the access card to her. The friend is Raizo. And after all this, like, what? A friend? Raizo's a friend? Like, what is going on here? Yeah, is Munich betrayed everyone? That's the question. What do you mean? So it sounds like Munich has bigger plans. Like, what is he up to? Why did he do all this, and why is he doing this with the help of Eden somehow? And even though Munich destroyed that AI thing that has consciousness thing, it's not completely disappeared. It has somehow have a hidden danger somewhere. This skips to the Mira story also. So yeah, that's the end of the second part, and I have so many questions after I finish the second translation. I'm not gonna bother finding it on my videos, but this was during Miracle Story chapter 3. After going through all this part of the story again, I understand what this means because Munich has left, and this consciousness Mira is similar to that consciousness Munich created. And I say Mira here is miracle. The consciousness miracle is similar to what Munich created. That was now understandable what's going on here. Going back to the miracle events, when there's this gifting emotion eventing, miracle says there was this consciousness that took over. This line that says I don't want to disappear. I need to go back a bit. Alright, we're somewhere here. This one. This is literally the same line as Munich's AI that has consciousness. And we question, who is this father she's saying? So this is extra dialogue we didn't see during Munich trying to terminate that AI. This is what the AI was saying. The AI has hatred before got terminated. And Miracle says that consciousness is different. It's not the Mira's in her story. This one has hatred. So it seems that AI with consciousness that Munich terminate has hatred. And it's not alive anymore. It's not in the cycle in the Miracle story. This is that AI consciousness. Miracle says something here about that AI consciousness thing. It is closely related with the pollution, the contamination that's happening in this Miracle story, and also related on how she was born. That was also thinking that is related. Miracle's how she was born and that scene that happened in Munich has some relation. And the contamination is the snake thing lah. Where else have we seen the snake? Again, Eden, right? So what did Eden do that maybe the Eden has maybe enhanced this dark energy and it became a snake? Maybe that was not fully explained, right? But probably. Another important thing is this contamination thing. It's not just recent just because Munich created the AI thing. That contamination has already stayed there 2 years ago. When was 2 years ago? Literally the Phantom Star story all over again. So someone, maybe Eden has been here 2 years ago already. So that is already telling something. This is not just recent. It happened. The malfunction thing even happened. I guess before I also end this video, I also did some talk about the lore with Miracle herself since she can talk about the lore too. And I asked her, why wasn't Munich there? And yeah, Munich, just to let her answer my questions. Why was Munich not there? He's researching something important. That confirms it in the Reno story too. He rarely appears in the sequence center because he's doing something important. There's some secret he's hiding also. And Modis mentions someone placed wrong data that can destroy the center. It was some kind of Eden crystal, but don't know who placed it because Miracle hasn't awakened yet. She's still she hasn't been born yet during that time, right? And I also asked this question also that in the Mira and Yue battle with Eden, there was this dark Q speed energy thing. Eden created that energy, that crystal, yeah. But was dark Q speed something Eden created? No, it is not. Dark Q speed is not an artificially created thing. It's just like it forms naturally. It's not it's not an energy that Eden created. So literally Eden just enhanced the dark energy. Literally, that's what it is. That answers another question lah. Q speed and dark Q speed is just energy, not something Eden create. About Alwak and Alsvi, since they are not mentioned in the story, there was no data about Munich raising children, but in the lore there is Alwak and Alsvi. So I asked, who are Alwak and Alsvi? Yep, there are 2 kids named Alwak and Alsvi, but something was off with Munich's attitude toward them. That is also sus. Well, we'll see lah when the day both actually comes out. I don't know how this goes. And I also told Mira when I finally figured out that person that Citrus bumped into was Raizo. He's just a mysterious guy that he knows a lot of Q-Speed experiments. He does Q-Speed experiments and he knows a lot of secrets. So I also thought, yeah, if Munich didn't do this experiment, that means Miracle wouldn't been born, right? But still, that was not a good experiment. That was a terrible experiment to actually do. But it's like, now I think about it, maybe he has to do it just to, maybe he foresaw something. Yeah, like that's the question. Did he foresaw all this and why he colluded with Eden? He used the sequence center to predict the future and even change the past. Did the sequence center even have that ability? That change the past is polar illusion domain, not the sequence center. Isn't that just the future, not the past? Maybe he's trying to do that too, but what's so important that the sequence center isn't important? Like, that's also a question that I ask. I guess that's all I can brag about. Make this big rant on the lore that's so confusing. What's going on right now? We just have to wait and see what comes out. Probably another 6 months. 6 months. Probably in the new maps, another new map story maybe. Actual new story like what Miracle story, probably need to wait end of the year or maybe next year even, I don't know. we get main lore once a year usually, so we'll just have to wait and see lah. Okay, so I don't know how this story this video is gonna be. This is already an hour recording. I didn't mean to do this long, but yeah, that's it for this video. Tell me what you guys think of this lore video. I don't know how this is gonna end up anyway also. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. See you guys next time.
Shika Miku as a night air, racing